So we had to put in a liner today on an above ground pool.
Ooh.
It wasn't bad. Only problem was these people put the deck, like whoever built the deck. Or it was almost, yeah, well no, the deck was really nice, it's pretty and everything. But on an above ground pool you got to be able to take off those top rails that go all the way around it, change the liner, and people did not build it appropriately. For a lot of people will put it like flush with the top.
Yeah.
And if you don't build the deck to like where you can take the boards off really easy around it, then it makes it really hard. And
so
they had
just built the deck where it was a pain in the ass for y'all to have to go do that.
right. Well, we couldn't even take the deck apart to get it,
Ooh.
because what they had done, even if we did, it wouldn't have mattered. They had put a post, like a 4x4 post, by each one of the uprights, like right behind it. So it's like, well, the only thing I could really do is get a damn sawzall and cut me a big old notch out of everything, and I ain't doing that to your deck. And he come out there, he was pissed, because he's like, y'all ain't gonna be able to do it like that. I'm like, yeah, I will.
Mad at y'all?
Yeah. It's like, y'all ain't gonna be able to do it like that. I'm like, yes, I can.
Did you tell him how many years of pool experience you have? This was not your first rodeo?
Look, I just let my work do the talking, brother.
Right.
I got.
That's the best way to do it, man.
I was like, look, just. He's like,
words.
let me make a phone call, and he goes in there and he comes back, just get it done. I'm like, look, when I get through, you're gonna be very happy. I promise. Don't worry about.
First person I let know as well. Don't worry. So.
Yeah. And I texted him a picture of it when we were through, and I said, got it, you know. And he was like, come out there, and he's like, damn, y'all did that quick. And man, that looks great.
Not to say I told you so, but...
when he was writing me the check, he goes, man, I'm sorry about this morning. I don't know if I'm just not getting enough sleep or not. And I was like, look, man, you get them kids in that pool, get them all wore out, and then you can get you some rest.
Right.
You know.
Was he a younger dude?
No, he's an old feller. I mean, I say older, but like, you know, like my dad's age. Probably late 60s, maybe.
Right.
Or early 60s. Maybe late 50s, somewhere in there.
I got you.
Like, those are his grandkids, probably not his kids.
It makes a lot more sense. That's the reason I was asking, but it's like, sounds like a little late in life to be having children, but hey,
you never know.
People do it all the time.
Yeah. My buddy, his parents were like old as hell when we were young. Like, I can remember going over to his house when I was a kid, like 10, 11.
Yeah.
And they were like 60.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's like I used to date this girl. Her mom was like, there was like a 20-year age difference between her mom and her dad. Her mom was like 40-something. Her dad was like, whenever we were in, middle school and high school.
Yeah.
I've known her forever. By the time me and her started dating, her dad was like 70.
Wow.
Her mom was like, in my parents' age group in her early to mid-50s.
Yeah.
And her dad was like 70 years old. It's like,
Gee
damn.
whiz.
Which they've also got like 7 kids together. There's a bunch of them.
Jesus Christ.
Right? So I said, damn, you ain't ever got to worry about your family. They ain't going anywhere. You got boys, girls.
Yeah.
I got all sorts of cool.
I got no line ends with me on my side.
Well, hey,
as
man,
far as the name.
The way you got to look at it is, man, it's 2020. How old's your oldest daughter?
13.
So, yeah,
look,
by the time she gets married, it'll probably be completely normal for men to take women's last names.
Look, honestly, it's becoming, it's probably whoever, if it were me, I'd be like, all right, who's got the easiest, who's got the first, like, all right, your name starts.
Easiest to pronounce and spell.
Pronounce and spell, and how quick are they going to get called on the roll?
Right. Because look,
and we're going to be first of the line.
I'm not trying to let them be the last kid.
Uh-huh.
Oh, your last name starts with a Z? Yeah, that's not happening.
Yeah, not happening. But see, we would have had a tough choice with my wife's last name, because her last name is Eichelberger.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
Yeah.
That is an interesting last name.
Uh-huh. That's a fun one to spell.
Where's her people from? Like, where's that come from?
That's German. Yeah.
German? Yeah,
Eichelberger.
Sounds fair. Yeah. You have to say it with the phlegm. With the
Huckleberry.
phlegm.
And you have to get real, like, ornery with it.
You want what kind of burger, sir?
Yeah, well, that's what she got called a lot in school.
Oh, yeah.
And principal called her Burger Whopper.
Yeah, I definitely say Sistrun's a lot easier to say.
Oh, dude. And, like, every coach, always last name, you know. Come on, Sistrunk.
Right. Right. Your wife out there. How the fuck do you say that? Come here and tell me how to say your last name. You over there. You, who? You with the funny last name. Oh, he's talking to
Ron.
It's Aaron. Boy, if you done fucked up now, Aaron. I've got to get that timing down.
You know, marijuana affects reaction time.
I ain't smoking that. Not a bud.
Maybe that's the issue. I don't know, but you beat 4 bosses today, so I would say no.
Right? He's just... I'm not used to his attacks yet. This is another one of those bosses that did really well on that first go. Every go after him, not doing so well.
You gotta put it down for a minute.
Yeah.
You know how it is, you get frustrated and just walk away for a little bit.
Right.
Come back and you beat it on the first try, like, what? You're going all try hard. And trying too hard. Let it flow through you. Let that anger, your hate, suffering.
Oh, what a dick. He shot me with his bow. I think that's stupid. You shouldn't have a sword and a bow. I don't have a sword and a bow. I just have a sword.
Where's he keeping that thing? His pocket?
Back.
Oh, okay. Like, look. Alright, imagine in reality trying to switch from a sword to a bow while you're in a...
Right.
Obviously close hand-to-hand combat.
Yeah, because I'm on his bumper.
Hold on. I'm getting my bow. Where's my quiver?
Oh, that's bullshit. I definitely dodged that one, but whatever.
It's not an AoE attack that you might need to roll away from, huh?
Nope. Not yet. That's in the last phase when he does his lightning. Oh, I rolled into that when I should have rolled away.
Yep. I hate it when I do that.
I'm not going to fight him again for a minute. I'm going to just sit here and talk to you, my buddy Jason.
That's fine.
What are you playing, GTA?
GTA. Thought about turning on Red Dead, but I'm going to wait till my wife gets home.
Oh, yeah, I was about to say, whenever Casey gets back, I know she'll play with it.
Oh, yeah.
She's been playing the shit out of it.
Yeah, she likes it.
That's all that matters.
Which, like I said, the kids have a sensor. Like, they, of course, it has everything to do with how my wife deals with the children. Like, my wife is very strong-willed when it comes to everything but the children. She's a super pushover, and it has to do with her how she grew up. She grew up poor, like they didn't have a TV, like an actual television in the home until she was 9 or 10.
She wants to give y'all kids everything.
Everything, so she never says no.
Which
She never says no.
But you gotta learn to draw that line.
I was a kid that was given a lot of things, I wasn't given everything, but I was given a lot of things until I was old enough, like, 14, 15, which, I mean, like you said, when I think about it, like, I sat down and tried to think about, like, do I spend enough time doing fun things with my kids and all that stuff, trying to justify myself as a good parent. I'm like, what did I do for fun with my parents? What did I do? Let me see. Let me think about what my weekends consisted of. What did we do on the weekends? Let's see. I was outside picking up sticks. mowing the grass and hauling hay and wait a
Sounds like
minute.
my childhood. Like,
It
I worked
was
my whole childhood.
work. I worked. My parents
Yeah.
convinced me that that was fun. Because I can remember it's like, hell yeah, we're going to haul hay. I can't wait. I'm going to drive the truck around the damn field once or twice.
Right? And then you get older, you're like, wait a minute. I wasn't playing. They made
That
me
was a
work.
fucking
But
work, and I was
you
picking up
have to.
hay
That's
bales.
also the reason you have such a good work ethic now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I
That's like
guess
me.
so.
I've never been scared of hard work, but as soon as I was old enough to swing that maul or the axe or something, we was out there
Mm-hmm.
splitting firewood and all sorts of
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Dad'd be running the wood splitter so we
Exactly.
would go quicker, and I'd be splitting firewood by hand. Me and Josh
Hell,
would.
we didn't get a wood splitter till I was old enough to not have
My
to split wood anymore and had a
my grandpa
job.
had a wood splitter, and so Dad would go over there and borrow it, and he would split the big logs, like the real big parts of the trunk up, and
Uh-huh.
would give them to us, and we would split them up into smaller pieces.
Hell no, I'd have to let that shit dry out forever.
Oh, dude, and that
Big
takes
old chunks.
forever. Yeah,
Just
you try
let
to hit
that
a piece
shit
of wet wood like that, it either just
bonk.
sticks or just bounces right off, like boom. Oh
Bruh,
god.
you stick it in there, you see the water squeeze out, you're like,
This isn't gonna happen today. I'll never forget. Dad cut a tree down and didn't fall the way it should have fell. Like the wind blew as he was cutting it or something.
right.
And it fell across the road, and he woke me up at he was gonna let me sleep in that Saturday, and then whenever I woke up about 8 or 9 o'clock,
Gotta
I was
get
gonna
this
go out there and
tree
start
out the
splitting
damn
wood.
road.
He comes and wakes me up at like 5:30 in the morning. And he's like, "Put your boots on, get your pants on, grab the chainsaw. We got to get this tree out of the road." I was like, "What are you talking about? There's a tree laid over." Mom's like a quarter mile up the road in her car, flagging people down, telling them to go around.
Tree fell in the road.
Yeah, and I'm out there in the tree with the chainsaw, cutting limbs up, throwing them down to my dad, and like, oh yeah, that was.
See, y'all ain't got no tractor, nothing. Nothing. See, man, alright, we gonna cut this section out right here, and I'm gonna drag that bitch out the way.
Right? Yeah, no. That was a long day of cutting wood up.
Uh-huh.
But again, like I said, me and my brother have never been scared of hard work since we've been old enough to have like real jobs.
Yeah.
And I attribute that to my parents.
Yeah, I'll say that. My kids are gonna have a shitty work ethic, though, I guess. So I don't make them do nothing. Except for their, normal chores around the house.
Right.
But, I mean, they're girls.
Yeah.
Like, they're not gonna be out there,
yeah.
I'm not gonna make them
Swinging
go out
an
there
axe
swinging
and
axe. I mean, not to say that they can't.
No. But that's not, if you had a boy, you can make him. It wouldn't be a choice of like, son, come on, come and help me do this. With girls, it's different.
Yeah.
Unless they get older and decide to volunteer one day, then it's like,
Oh, hell yeah,
it's
come on.
here.
Well, see, my wife loves to mow the yard.
Yeah. So I'm sure when
And
they get older,
I like to watch her mow the yard.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all got a push mower or a
Hell no, bro.
Oh no, you have a real big yard. I forget about
Hell
that.
yeah.
You don't have a yard, you have property.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a difference, yeah.
Look, the house is on about 2 acres.
Right.
So, to mowable
Yeah.
yard. Now, if you combine my parents' house, because
They
my
live
parents
right
are
by
right
you,
next
don't
to us, yeah. And we kind of split the middle section.
Right.
Because there's like a middle section, because the driveway works, is it makes a big loop.
Okay.
And there's a section in the middle.
I don't want to fight that boss or that other boss right now. I'll go around and do a little farming with some materials. Which I might. I still have enough materials to do enough. What's the inventory? Materials I do not.
That are also turds.
Oh god, Jack's here, I'm
Sup, Jack?
leaving. What's up, dude?
What's up?
Well, you know, just cheering.
Jason, do you know what sucks?
What?
Fishing all day for two specific fish and not catching them.
A bad day of fishing is
Oof.
still better than a good day of work.
Uh,
In my opinion, at least.
in a video game.
Oh, never mind.
Yeah. Slightly worse.
Yes, that's frustrating.
I was reading online and some people were like, I've been fishing for 4 straight days, what am I doing wrong? And it's like, it's RNG, dickhead. You either get it or you don't.
RNGesus is not on your side, that's what you're doing wrong.
Well, it's the highest tier fish, so they're super rare to begin with, and apparently the table for super rare fish is all the super rare
Very
fish.
small percentage.
Well, it's everyone has equal percentage. So and there's like a bunch of them. So
You might catch a bunch of super rare fish, but the likelihood of catching that specific one you want is not very high.
right.
That
I've caught super rare fish,
Right.
but I've not caught the 2 that I need.
What game are you playing? Red Dead?
Black Desert.
Black
Oh.
Desert.
I didn't know they had like different tiers.
Bro, they got so much stuff in that game. It is so
Yeah,
complex.
It's crazy. I'm on a mission that people have complained about this mission line, basically saying it takes about a week of in-game play to finish it.
Oh wow.
Specifically because of like this is one of them. Like you can catch it in the first hour if you're lucky, or days if you're not lucky.
Yeah, it
like
just depends
you were
on
there,
which side RNGesus is on.
and you were there when I was sailing. It was, what, 90 minutes of straight blind sailing, hoping I make it there. In Fog of War, not knowing if I'm going in the right direction.
Nice. Jack, we should
hoping.
definitely learn some sailing songs.
Yes.
No.
Yeah, if you're gonna sail for that long, you gotta keep the spirits up so you don't, you know, hit the
Well, I already
old
sailed that long though, and now
blues.
that I've done it and I've made that journey, that Fog of War doesn't affect me in that region anymore. So I could just set it and walk away.
And sing sailing songs while you walk away. Cause you're sailing. Eat
Assassin's
oranges.
Creed 4. Assassin's
See,
Creed 4 Black Flag had really good sailing songs. Is that Gilligan's Island? Yep. Yep.
damn it.
I didn't see that you sent me an invite over an hour ago.
That's fine. I figured you just didn't want to hang out. That's cool.
No, I mean,
I figured you
I
had D&D
100%.
anyways.
I do, but I'm not leaving for like another hour and a half, hour and 20, hour 15. I've been passively working all day. Zero proactive work, 100% reactive work. So if no one was asking anything of me, I wasn't doing anything. On the plus side, I've made 5+ million silver coins selling
Fishing?
fish.
Wow.
hmm
That's fantastic.
Oh yeah, because I was really hurting for money.
Yeah.
Now, here's the actual cool thing is I've caught keys, like silver keys.
Oh, so you can open some chests and stuff.
Yeah, I have 26 of them.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I've caught 4 Lila's petals.
Huh.
I've caught like 12 of those ancient relic crystal shards. So I've got some of those scrolls ready. Like, the ancillary benefits are kind of nice. It's just kind of like, and to be fair, I've been actually fishing.
Yeah.
I could have AFK'd this whole thing. Which is when I'm actively fishing, my catch rate's much faster.
And you get to see the cool stuff.
Yeah.
And you can quit when you got the 2 fish.
Maybe, yeah. So apparently the mission that you get from this is like, or the big item that you get, because you have to put together the treasure chest and all that stuff. And it's
Hey,
not
Jason,
just
guess what
those.
I did?
Killed the guy.
I killed the knight, the one that I couldn't kill, that I had to kick off the bridge. I finally got it.
Nice.
Don't worry about the other boss later.
He's killed.
Jack, this is my 5th one.
Damn.
Yeah, today.
That's like 1/8 of the entire bosses in the game.
Right, and it's also like triple what I did yesterday.
Fly upside down, low to the ground. We're gonna win.
How much money you got now?
All together?
Yeah.
32.3.
Jeez. I wonder how whatever the update's gonna be, how much it's gonna take from us.
How much we're gonna spend?
Because
Well,
the
you
last
have
time we were
50 million.
Right, the last time we were anticipating it'd be up to 20, and I think it was only like 10 to
10
13.
million. Yeah. I spent tens of millions. Plus all the cars and see, this one's not gonna be a big one though. This one's only gonna be probably cars and stuff.
They say
It's-
heist though.
Heist is in winter update.
Oh, right. So we've got plenty of time for that.
Yeah. I did download Red Dead. Yeah, I re-downloaded it last night.
Are you burned out on Black Desert?
Just for right now, like I'll probably get back into it next week or something. I'm just a little.
It's because your class is too easy. That thing said.
It's a possibility, but I'm not willing to start another one right now and do all the same stuff over again.
Right.
Yeah, I could do that.
Do what?
Whenever I get my car, whenever my new car comes in and I can get the game, I'm gonna Jason
You got a little quiet. Your mic must have moved away from your mouth.
It did. I bumped it down a little bit.
I'd start over. I'd start over with you two.
Hey,
Get a
okay.
second one going.
I watched the video and they were talking about there's a lot of like, I mean obviously you don't want to master all the classes, but they suggested like playing a couple different ones of them just because you might think, oh, this is the best class, and you play a different one and be really good, even though it says it's not as good as the class you were playing.
Right.
You might be really good at it because it fits like your playstyle and the mechanics you like.
You know what I learned? That there is a test ability that you can do for each class before you like choose it that puts
Really?
you at a high tier. It's like you have 400 skill points, spend them, or 4,000 or something. I don't know. Spend them how you want. Play this to test to see if you like this character when you're going to be playing it for the majority. So it's like, I want to try the Mystic or whatever, and you're like, ooh, Mystic is shitty. Or you're like, wait, this dude is just like a Street Fighter Ken who just goes around and punches people. Like, I don't like that.
I do not want to be a melee character.
Right.
I really like melee characters.
Man, melee characters are fun and all, but I've seen Austin's melee character just gets. You're fine one-on-one, 1v2 maybe, but when you get swarmed by like anything more than 5, you're in trouble.
Yeah, I believe it. That's why it's a team-based game. That's where
not necessarily.
Not necessarily. This is
because when you remember when we were fighting those Susans,
yeah,
like Austin was getting demolished against those Susans, just wrecked. I 1v'd all of them without any issues.
Yeah.
And so then the next time Austin was on, I was on too. He's like, "Hey, do you mind helping me with these Susans?" I was like, "Hell yeah, let's wreck them."
Huh.
And so, because my character is specifically bad at combat,
Right.
but they are really good at making sure that you don't get too close to her. So she doesn't get hit.
She's got that range. She's got that boomerang. Yeah.
Yeah, and the specific attack that I use just she strafes in a circle around them, and so they can't really separate. And if they get too close, then I can back up real easy, and just create that space again. And so whatever I hit, it'll hit everyone in that area, indiscriminately. So it's not like I'm just doing one hit against one guy. I'm hitting like 5 hits with one boomerang throw against 5 guys, and so it's just an attrition thing. Yeah. But I mean,
I am an all-powerful wizard who destroys all.
Right, but it's not as good at PvP. It's still good at PvP, but it's not like the best. And so one of the things you want to determine is what do you want to do with your character ultimately. Like if
ultimately, I want to be a PvE and destroy all.
Right. Sorcerers. Sorcerers is the most powerful. Period. Also the hardest to master. Like the combos, the difficulty curve is really high on it, but it has the most power output, the most ability to the combination of ability to take the hits, give the hits, survive and kill.
Wizard is easy.
Wizard is easy and also really good.
We didn't have many options when the game first came out. There were 4 characters: witch, wizard, ranger, and soldier, maybe.
Yeah, I just caught 2 rares in a row. Not the ones I need.
There's way too much RNG involved in that right there. You got RNG involved in the rarity, and then you got RNG involved in what type of fish it is.
Mm-hmm.
And no telling how many types of rare fish there are.
Oh, dude,
right.
there's a pile of them.
That's a lot of numbers to crunch right now. The probability is very high.
My thought process is, I'm already here.
Might as well just stick with it.
Yeah. So my plan was, I'm gonna spend the day, buy all of the fishing rods from the marketplace that I can, because they don't sell fishing rods up here, which makes no sense.
Yeah, it does.
So they don't.
Yes, it does. Makes total sense, Jack. Game developer wise, it does. Like, well, now you got to roll all the way back to fucking town, you bitch. You're stuck in this game for another 35 minutes.
I'm thinking more of the. Oh God, no. Well, hopefully the wind's at my back this time, considering I fought the wind the entire time.
How long did it take you to get there?
I put a 2-hour scroll right when I started, and by the time.
All right.
Yeah. By the time I got there, it was under 50 minutes. So over 70 minutes to get here.
Wow.
Yeah.
You could have watched a movie from the early 90s.
Yeah. Oh yeah. This is actually, my RNG is going really good on this one. I've caught 6.
You feel good about
super rares. No, I've caught 6 like super rares in the sequence. The problem is not the ones I need. I need 2 different ones. 2 of them. And the reality is I'm probably never going to catch them.
Ba-na-ba-na. You wake up in the morning
and you step outside.
No.
Take a deep breath. I'm sure Jacob's heard that a bunch.
Oh, I'm sure.
Well, the good news of today is that shit that I was doing all week that was just like exhausting.
Yeah.
Like it went really, really well. It was very smooth. It like was without any hiccups. The two people I was basically like catering to were very pleasant and were like the one hiccup that we had on Tuesday I immediately rectified so that when it happened on Thursday it was seamless. And it wasn't anything in my control on Tuesday, it was just a random thing. I was just like, let's just take that variability out, so on Thursday do this. And then I taught them what to do, blah, 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 and it worked great. So, effusive praise for me this morning. Basically, at dinner last night, they were just like, oh my god, he was so helpful, blah, blah, blah. And so, effusive praise, my boss was like, yeah, you know, like, thanks for mentioning it, like, you know, we always try to do our best. And then his boss, who wasn't working today, said, I just logged in only to send this email and say, like, I'm so proud of you guys. You did a great job, and everyone was really happy. And, like, she's a black woman who's been in law enforcement for, like, 30-some-odd years. And so, this is, like, near and dear to her, and these are, like, her idols who were here, and so the fact that it went... So she's, like, over the moon. So what's unique about yesterday was... we think the Ethernet port is broken on the laptop that I used to stream, which is a problem because it requires a lot of bandwidth and the Wi-Fi doesn't exist in the auditorium.
Yeah.
So if I can't have an Ethernet plugged in, I'm kind of screwed. So I got there really early.
New computer.
Right. Well, actually, so here's what's fun. So when we did the whole Wi-Fi upgrade, we actually put really good Wi-Fi in the auditorium. We just don't have it ready yet. And so we fixed the problem with the Ethernet, we thought. And then with like an hour to go before, because they pushed it back, we realized, oh, it broke again. So we can't rely on it. So we configured the Wi-Fi, turned it on, and we ran the whole entire thing, Wi-Fi only.
Yeah?
Oh my god, dude, I just caught one. You son of a bitch. Eat shit. One more. No joke. I woke up at 5:30 this morning.
This is what you've been doing all day?
All day. Since 7. It is literally 9 hours of this all day. Anyway, I caught one.
Well, statistically, you got another 9 hours to go, Jack, before you catch another one.
No. Gambler's fallacy. That doesn't exist. I have the same odds that I always have with this next cast.
Yeah.
But yes,
really low. So
the law of averages says I'm gonna be doing another
9 hours.
Unless the law of averages says it should take me 4.5 hours to catch one, in which case my next cast should be the one that catches it. We'll find out right here. Stay tuned.
Nope.
Weak bite. Didn't even catch a fish. Probably just trash. Let's see what it was. Piece of torn sail. Awesome. Remove. Anyway, so long story short. So we didn't tell anyone that we did Wi-Fi only.
Yeah.
Because one, we don't want people to get like, oh my god, the Wi-Fi's ready, because it's not. We just specifically set it up so that only I could use it. We had only the ones in the auditorium opened. You know, all this stuff. So we didn't tell anyone, but we did use it, and my boss wants to tell his boss that we used it. So he called her right after, because he wanted to talk to her, but she wasn't working, so he's like, well, that sucks. So he calls her to tell her, hey, we used the Wi-Fi, the new Wi-Fi in the auditorium, for that whole live stream, and it worked perfectly. And instead she wanted to talk about... Right, but instead she wanted to talk about how it is absolutely imperative that I get promoted.
And that you get a theme song when you walk in the room. I feel like you need that.
I take John Cena. I take John...
Alright.
I take it.
I like the A-Team. It's my theme music.
I take it. You know, I'm not gonna be picky right now, but basically she was like he absolutely is doing well above and beyond. We've seen it because he literally devoted like 18 hours to this all week, and it was flawless. They were actually it's actually funny. So the two people who had lapel mics,
Right.
and very pleasant people, very very technically unsavvy. And so coming out of breaks, their lapel mics weren't working, and they couldn't figure it out. So both times they, like, in the auditorium, while they're trying to do the presentation, would stop and go, "Please come help me." They'd call me out by name and literally, "Please help." And I would already be on my way there. And both times, they just didn't turn the pack on, like the belt pack for their...
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Well, yeah, it's 100%. The most easiest, obvious solution is it on? No. Let's turn it on. Hey, it works. What do you know? But, like, I'm never going to shame them. I'm never going to say, "Oh, did you turn it on?" And then next thing you turn it on and it works. You just shut up, look, turn it on, be like, "There you go."
Think we got it all fixed up.
But it makes me look like a genius. And so, like, only people...
See, if it's a power on situation and you want to make yourself look like more of a genius, you got to just sit there for a second. Hold on, let's see. And then you need to have a guy in the back say, "Can you try it now?" No? Okay.
Yeah,
all right,
right,
we got it.
Right. If we wanted to do the whole song and dance.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
In reality it was, I just looked like I know exactly what was going on with it because it was fixed immediately. And so it's like, any other issues, I'll fix it immediately. I know what it is, subject matter expert, call me up, I'll fix it. Which is bad when I don't, but that being said, the entire power structure of our agency was there for the entire time, and it was flawless, all because of me. So she was like, "I'm gonna talk to this guy, I'm gonna talk to the fiscal person, we're gonna figure out where we get the budget to promote him, we're gonna do all this, it's gonna happen." So my boss called me and he's like, "So FYI," because he was driving to Portland today in the 18 van.
Not a fun place to go right now, I hear.
No, so it's the same that was happening in Seattle. It really was only like 2 or 3 blocks, and Portland's huge. In terms of, like, it's like 120 some odd square miles. Not huge in terms of population. It's just a large sprawl city.
That's the way West Coast is.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's super sprawl. But we
King of suburbia.
The federales moved out, and so last night was the first night they didn't have conflict. They just had their peaceful protests because the federales weren't there to just, like, mess people up.
Federales.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what agency they are. I don't. That's the thing. That's why it's a problem, because they were unidentified. Anyway, so fun news for the day. Are you ready?
I roll.
Right. So the news came out that back in March, April, that the White House task force that was put together to figure out how to combat COVID and get testing set up and, aggressive testing, let's nip this in the bud, blah blah blah. They had a task force put together. It's Jared Kushner, so it was a shitty task force with his college buddies who know nothing about anything they're doing a task force on. But that doesn't matter. They still had a plan. Then they realized, wait, for the most part, this is targeting blue states. Yep, scrap it. Not a joke. Literal documentation that this was a conscious decision to not combat it and to actually go one step further and divert resources that were going to the blue states that were having the bigger issues and move them to red states. Their rationale was, let's let the virus kill the people who will vote for our opponents, because it's not going to hurt us, or even if it does hurt us, it'll hurt them more. That's their strategy. Yeah, so that happened. That came out this morning, and people are like, "Are you kidding me?"
Speaking of documentation that also came out.
Oh,
the Epstein thing.
Dude, my favorite thing of it is, it's either someone really stupid or someone who, like, really is really smart. But the way they redact in PDFs, you just copy and paste it into like copy it in the PDF and paste it into like Notepad. Redaction's gone.
Huh.
So it's very easy for them to be like, "What's this name?" Copy, paste. Oh, okay, this guy. Awesome.
Yeah. It's really shitty.
Oh yeah.
Which
Oh yeah.
Maybe this will be the fall of all of the elite.
Well, and that's what, in my opinion, that's what the protests are for. The protests are for, we're sick of this dichotomy that you have created. The black people are subjected to it most, but it's not just whites versus black. It's not just the white supremacy of the United States, like the systematic white supremacy in the United States. It's about the class supremacy. It's about we are rich, we will keep you down forever.
Modern feudalism, Jack.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
We're just peasants, Jack.
To their eyes, yeah. We are a means to an end. How can I make them more money?
Jack, you need to do a lot of research on what the U.S. government has done in their research on the American population without our own knowledge.
Have I been sterilized?
Possibility, actually, possible. I mean, not probably sterilized, but you've probably been subject to more, as a lot happened on the West Coast, and of course in the Midwest. I mean, you know, they tested biological weapons on somewhere Northwest.
When
on
my mom
the
was,
population of the Americans.
oh yeah, when my mom was pregnant with me, the place we were living had well beyond the legal limits of formaldehyde.
Mm-hmm.
In something in there, I don't know what it was, like insulation or whatever, but there was like actual like poisonous amounts of formaldehyde in the place they were living during the entire gestation period of my mother's pregnancy with me, which is also problematic because I have two brothers who were like not even one and not even two at that same time, all living in that area, all with that same formaldehyde. And I mean, granted, this was the early 80s when oh, who cares if 154,000 people die. So I actually watched, they had a congressional hearing with Dr. Fauci and the head of the CDC, and I caught the last half of it, and the closing remarks from the minority.
Yeah.
It was all about going to school. It was like, we gotta get these kids to school, because what's more important than education? It's like, you can't say this can happen, but we can't send our kids to school. You actively want our kids to not get an education, like blah blah. It's like, no, dude, we just want them not to die. That, like, the fact that they don't care,
No.
that they don't see it, or that they do care, but that they're so maliciously, like, willfully ignorant about it. And what pissed me off is somehow that stupid Jim Jordan guy got back on a super important committee, and so he derails the whole entire thing about some stupid conspiracy theory. They were arguing about that hydrochlorozone, whatever that thing was.
Oh, they still arguing about that.
For a long ass time. And there was the first guy I caught, I didn't know if he was Republican or Democrat. They don't announce themselves until they start talking, and you can hear their talking points.
Mm-hmm.
But he starts talking, he's like, there's this article, this research scientific study that's peer reviewed, and it's talking about how hydrochlorozone, I don't know the name, so I'm just going to keep saying that.
Yeah, sounds great.
Hydrochlorozone, yeah, is effective in curing and combating against COVID. What do you say about that? And he's like, that was not a like a blind placebo, like controlled. I know. He's like, I know that study. That was not a controlled study. Every single one of those individuals who were getting tested were also getting like steroid injections, which, as we know, is really good against combating like
pneumonia, like anything pneumonia, like you want to give steroids.
Right. So every single one of them is getting steroids, and you don't think it's coincidental that everyone was getting steroids while they're getting this, and suddenly they started getting better? That's not a correlation of this. What that means is it's a bad study. And he goes, like, but it was peer reviewed. And he's like, you can peer review bad studies.
Yeah.
And so, but it's just like the fact that they're trying to do a gotcha. Look at this, and he's like, dude, I've been doing this for 50 some odd years. Like, I know a bad study when I see a bad study, and that's a bad study, and here's why it's a bad study. Here's how you would do it differently, and they didn't do that. And the studies that have done that have not shown that hydrochlorozone is effective in combating it. And until one does, I'm going to keep saying it's not. And the day that one does, I'll change my tune. Because my argument is fact-based.
And speaking of studies, segue, this is just what the U.S. government experimented in chemical and biological warfare from the 1950s, because they did a lot of stuff before them, but from the 1950s on. Okay? They had 1950, in order to conduct a simulation of biological warfare attack, the U.S. Navy sprayed large quantities of bacteria Ceratomarcans, considered harmless at the time, over the city of San Francisco during a project called Operation Sea Spray. Numerous citizens contracted pneumonia-like illness, and at least one person died as a result. The family man who died sued the government for gross negligence, but a federal judge ruled in favor of the government in 1981. Serial tests continued until at least 1969. 1950 to 1972, mentally disabled children at Willbrook State School in Staten Island were intentionally infected with viral hepatitis for research whose purpose was to help discover a vaccine.
You know, I was explaining this to my boss. Sorry to interrupt. Hold on. Oh,
Go ahead.
God damn it. I had a super fancy one that I had to get, and so distracted I didn't get it. Immediately press the wrong key. That's cool. I was talking to my boss, and like we were, he's a little bit more radical than I am, or passionate about it.
Yeah.
And I was saying in their eyes, there's two types of Americans.
Uh-huh.
Those they can dupe, and those they can't.
They cannot. Yeah, that's true.
And
it's
so
100%. Look, my brother, big into this whole cybersecurity thing. That's the whole explanation behind the Facebook ads that were, or the Facebook stuff that was targeted towards, that the Soviets or Russians did. Mm-hmm. They found gullible people and influenced them, and that's what. Don't think the government hadn't researched that and been researching that for a long time.
It's those they can control and those they can't, and they can control them with misinformation.
Yeah.
And if they can't control them, as we've seen, they would rather they die.
Yeah.
Which is like it's horrible. That's horrible.
Well, Jack, that's why I say you need to do some more research. You won't be near as appalled or.
I'm not appalled. I'm not surprised. It's just disappointing.
Well, just continue to listen with your ears.
Oh yeah.
1952, Chester M. Southam of Sloan Kettering Institute researcher injected live cancer cells, known as HeLa cells, into prisoners at Ohio State Penitentiary and cancer patients. Also, at Sloan Kettering, 300 healthy women were injected with live cancer cells without being told.
Jeez.
Frank Olson, 1953, died from a fall from a hotel room building after unknowingly being doped with LSD by CIA in 9 days prior.
Uh...
1960s, 22 elderly patients at the Jewish Chronic Disease Hospital in Brooklyn, New York, were injected with live cancer cells by Mr. Chester Southam.
And I mean,
1963 to 1969, Project Shipboard hazard and defense, (SHAD), the U.S. Army performed tests which involved spraying several U.S. ships with various biological and chemical warfare agents. While thousands of the U.S. personnel were aboard the ships, the personnel were not notified of the test and were not given any protective clothing. Chemical tested on the U.S. military personnel included the nerve gas VX and sarin, toxic chemicals such as zinc, cadmium sulfide, and sulfur dioxide, and a variety of biological agents. In 1966, the U.S. Army released Bacillus globuligi into the tunnels of the New York City subway system as part of a field experiment called A Study of the Vulnerability of the Subway Passengers in New York City to Cover Attack with Biological Agents. The Chicago subway system was also subject to a similar experiment by the Army. Now that does not include the human radiation experiments, chemical experiments, psychological and torture experiments, pharmacological research, other experiments, and so on. And that's just a small, that was from 1950 to 1969.
It's just, it's so disappointing, you know?
Yeah,
They don't have to try to kill us. They don't have to try to kill it. And that's the thing, is like, what this is, the fact that they had a testing plan set up for the United States, but when they realized it was hitting blue states the most, they canceled it. That's literally bioterrorism. That's crimes against humanity, against your own citizens. It's them being like, yeah, we'll just let them die. Like, they have the means to stop it, and they don't. Or divert resources away from stopping it to actively encourage.
Welcome to 2020, Jack.
Right.
Wait, it's been like this for a long time. That's why the Second Amendment was written. You should get a gun, Jack.
I should just take naps. Just bury me in the snow and wake me up when, like, PlayStation 5 comes out.
Wolverines! Patrick Swayze version's better than the Chris Hemsworth version.
Apparently that Chris Hemsworth version was filmed well before Chris Hemsworth was famous, and it was so bad that they were just like, yeah, no.
And then he
Chris
got
Hemsworth got famous, and they're like, yeah.
I'm gonna win. The fully loaded. There's no way you can destroy 4 in 10 seconds. I'm gonna get money. So yeah. That's why I don't pay attention to the media, because it's all propaganda.
Well, it's all. I wouldn't say it's propaganda. It's all agendized.
That's propaganda.
In a roundabout way.
Propaganda, noun, information, especially of a biased or misleading nature, used to promote or publicize a particular political cause or point of view. That's propaganda.
Yeah, okay. Conceded.
Yeah. Yep, that's why I don't watch the news anymore, Jack.
Oh no, I don't watch the news either.
I don't even read the news anymore because it's all, no matter what it is agenda. It's so biased. There is no such thing as journalism in this day and age unless it's about something non-political. Like, yes, there's journalism in like movies, critics. It's great journalism work. There's no more investigative reporting unless it's on the aliens.
No, it happens. It's
just so rare it gets suppressed.
Well, you get stuff like the Panama Papers or whatever, and the person who broke the Panama Papers committed suicide by shooting themselves in the back of the head. I mean, that's what happens when you actually do a really good job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or if they're Russian, they commit suicide by jumping out of tall windows.
Russians are way better at committing atrocities. Oh, he's back.
Well, no, Germans are pretty fucked up too, man.
Oh, well, yeah, but they hadn't committed any atrocities in a while.
No,
they
learned their lesson from the 2 world wars they helped start.
They got quite suppressed after that second one for sure.
Oh yeah, dude.
The Russians came in here. We will show you how to do atrocities, but keep it quiet.
I mean, to be fair to the Germans, they had a really good come to Jesus moment and like took stock and were like, we can be better. And they have actively
they don't want to be.
to
They don't
better.
want to be known as the country that fucking tried to take over the world and as the king, like the home of the Nazis. Twice. Yeah. Nobody wants to be known as that country. Unless it would have worked, then obviously they would have wanted to be known as the country. But it didn't work. I had a buddy go visit Germany, and he got a bunch of really dirty looks, and I was like, "For what, man?" He's like, "Well, I did walk through Germany with my back-to-back World War champ shirt on," and I was like, "Oh, that was probably
that's messed
why."
up.
Wow, that's actually
it's hilarious.
It's actually not hilarious.
Oh yes, it is.
No, because Germans nowadays are not.
They do not like what their past.
No, they are very
entails.
ashamed of it, and they are very proud of the reparations they've done.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they are proud of the reform that has occurred, and they are like Jason said, they're very ashamed of their past. And so to have some American come in and be like, "Ho ho ho, we beat you twice," they're like, "Dickhead, no, you didn't. You beat our grandparents, who were racist.
Typical
and they were
American.
Awful people."
Well, that's the thing. The whole population wasn't racist. They were duped.
No, it was almost exactly like this. It was almost exactly like this.
It's 100% exactly like this, Jack.
What's the difference between that and that being so wrong and somebody coming up to me and just fucking hating me for being a white dude because there's a chance one of my ancestors way in the back owned slaves? Because that's apparently okay.
There's nothing different about that. That's exactly the same. I mean...
Yeah, and you would look at them like a piece of shit.
But that's like you walking around with a shirt on and say, ha, I'm better than you because my grandparents owned slaves. Is essentially is what that shirt says. Typical American dickhead. That's why we're not liked anywhere else.
Right.
It's actually a really good piece of advice when traveling around the world is to tell people you're from Canada. I'm not joking.
I'm not telling people I'm from Canada.
You're right.
Sorry.
No, but
I'm a proud American.
Yeah.
It's a safety thing.
I'm not worried about my safety.
Me either.
I'm not going to go to a place where I'm worried about my safety, Jack, as an American.
Right. I have been in places where I should be worried about my safety as an American. I've still not told people I'm Canadian.
Look,
because I'm not someone who goes around with a World War II back-to-back or World Wars back-to-back champs.
Look, Jack, we live in a place that cannot be safe for an American. Period.
Right.
Just because it's Monroe, Louisiana, or New Orleans, which did know had a serial killer called the Axeman during about the same time that Jack the Ripper was going on.
Really?
Oh yeah?
Yeah. confirmed
that.
killed 9 people, but most likely
Wow.
killed 12 to 14
Wow.
with an axe.
That's nuts.
And
Chop
not
people up
just
and
an
shit, I'm
axe,
sure.
your own axe, because everybody at that time had a damn, fireplace to cook.
For splitting firewood and whatnot.
Uh-huh.
He would break into your house.
How
That's weird.
he would chisel the door panel out, because they all had segmented door panels,
Right.
like your door has now. Mine's metal, but it has the little
but
segments.
everything-
Yeah,
Well, back
yeah.
then they were wood, and you could knock them out really easy, and he would knock them out, either reach through or crawl through, get your axe, kill you with your axe.
That's a sly son of a bitch.
Well, figured out he was probably part of the mafia called the Black Hand.
Huh. Oh, that didn't work.
Because he seemed to kill mainly
Black people?
Italian grocers.
Ah, that makes sense.
Just trying to.
I immediately thought it was a racist part of the mob, Black Hand.
Wops.
Yeah, no, he's going after the Sicilians.
They call them wops.
What?
Uh, Italians is in that time frame they would call them wops.
I don't know what they would have called him in New Orleans.
Probably something not very nice.
Well, that's the typical. It means without papers,
Oh.
and so like someone coming off boats without papers, and they stereotypically call everyone wops, but mostly Italians. And then if they knew you were Irish, you'd get the Paddy designation.
Yep.
I'm gonna say I guarantee Louisiana had probably different names for them, just because, especially in New Orleans, due to the whole French Cajun.
Damn, thought I muted. Sorry.
You're fine.
COVID.
We're used to COVID by now, so
Yeah.
Louisiana's ate up bad with it.
Dude,
About
in
it.
the middle of the presentation yesterday, like I'm in the back, like running the cameras and stuff like that, and like I got dust down the wrong tube or something, and immediately like I have to cough a bunch. I'm like, shoot, I can't cough because like one, we're not supposed to be having this many people in this auditorium.
2,
Like-
everybody's gonna think I've got the COVID.
Right, exactly, and we've done such a good job to we've had no employees, no contractors, no students, no one have
That's
COVID.
positive.
Yeah, we've done a really good job with it.
We haven't had anybody at my work test positive.
Well-
We had a dude, his wife had it for like 2 weeks and didn't know it. Like, she finally was like, look, I have to go to the doctor. I feel like shit. Like, she was just sinus infection stuff, like regular common cold. And went to there, and they're like, you got the COVID. And he was, obviously it's his wife. He was looking for the whole 2-3 weeks she had it, and he never got it. Hell
It's
yeah,
funny
good
how
for
it
you.
works. Or he had it already and gave it to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well,
Never had any real symptoms.
They said that, they were coming out at first saying if you got the COVID, you couldn't get it again, and they came out like a few months later, like, okay, that's bullshit. You got people who had it who are still getting it.
Well, shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, there
Casey's,
is a chance of reoccurrence.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's 6 different types of it, so they've started to
Right.
figure out you could catch one and then catch another one, just like you could catch the flu more than once, because
Like
it's a
the
different
influenza
strain.
A and B.
Mhm.
Oh, shit, I don't want to fight that guy. He's got a big centipede. Get that away from me.
You can catch them all at the same time.
Yep.
I don't feel comfortable about this jet being in passive mode right now.
I wouldn't. That's a bad sign.
Well, he landed and went passive too. That's the thing. He didn't start out passive.
I'm going away from this one. Can I open this?
Jason, I learned something.
Son of a bitch, he just went off radar. What'd you learn?
Those dark rifts, the thing that kicked my ass.
Yeah?
1, no death penalty. So you die to them, not a problem. 2, every 24 hours that you don't attack one,
They get stronger?
progressively easier, actually.
Oh.
Over 4 days, they will be active. And on the 4th day, they are the easiest. And their rewards stay the same.
So if you're patient,
If you're patient, you just wreck house. So if I wasn't isolated by like 2 entire continents of water worth of water, might have done a little bit of that today.
Jesus.
I'm running around killing monks, killing monks.
Let's do it.
What was that?
An angel got his wings.
I thought that was on my game. Normally bells and stuff aren't good sounds on here. It's funny though, you rang that bell and I turned and there was a big guy right there. I was like, oh shit. Where do I go from here? Can't go there. Hey, I got another skill point. That's awesome. I dropped way more XP than some early games. Cool. I'll have a cool. My Lord and Savior, Itchy Monkey. Yeah. Yeah. I need to go back and upgrade some stuff. That homeward idol is the most clutch thing in the world. Besides stealth. That's clutch.
Clip from Ghost of Tsushima. I don't know the name of it. Made it to front page Reddit today.
Really?
Yeah, because literally a dude was jumping and someone shot him, which apparently stuns him in air, and then someone else shot him from the other direction, which stunned him in air. And for
He was
30
stun locked.
seconds, he was stun locked by repeating shots from bullets.
That's terrible.
Yeah, he never got unstuck, just the GIF ended.
He probably died. I wish I had a fucking mini-map.
Dead, you trash.
I'm at the Sinful Temple of Mount Congo. So, I made a revelation earlier today playing this game. I was running around doing some farming and exploring, picking up some shit. And I started looking around. Man, this place looks oddly familiar. And then I started really looking, and I was at the place where you start at the very beginning of the game, because the game makes big loops and stuff. And no, I mean, it was fine. And I was like, oh, because you don't have a sword there. So there's a bunch of guys that can kill you. Obviously, you have to sneak around them all stealthy. So I proceeded to go get my revenge on them.
Nice.
But guess what, motherfuckers? Got a sword now.
I did that in a D&D game once, where we started in a city, and then like 15 levels later we came back to that city, and me and one player, like, we were in some bar at one time scamming people, like as the backstory or whatever.
Right.
And some half-orcs were dickheads, and so we came back later on, and we went back to that bar, and the same guys were like, "Hey, do you remember us?" Meanwhile, now we're like level 15, like demigods, basically. And we just like killed everyone in the bar, and we're like, all right,
what's the highest level you can go to in D&D?
Usually
I guess
it's 20.
it matters. Okay. I'm about to say, I
Do you
guess
ever
it kind of matters on the story. I've never played. I really.
Do you ever play Knights of the Old Republic?
Yeah.
It's based off of a D&D system.
Really?
So yeah, same rules, same like how everything works, the leveling up, everything. And so it was always weird to me how, why do my people stop leveling at level 20? Doesn't make any sense in Knights of the Old Republic. I want to keep going.
Right.
But then I realized it's based on D&D. I was like, oh yeah,
Like,
yeah,
oh, that
because
makes sense.
right, because at that point in time, you could basically do anything, anything you wanted. You're just so powerful.
And your level affects like your rolls and stuff like that. Like rolling a 1 at level 1 is way worse than rolling a 1 at level 20.
Well, so how it
I mean, I
always
guess it
works
depends on what
is
you're doing too.
right. How it always works is a 1 is always an automatic failure, and a 20 is
Oh,
always an
okay.
automatic success. Just so that if you
So I
have
guess
that
that
one
wasn't a good.
that one peasant guy, yeah. But you're right. If I leveled
Rolling a
1,
lower number at a
I
high
roll a
level is
2,
yeah.
I'm guaranteed to miss. If at a high level I roll a 2, I'm not guaranteed to miss.
No, you have a better chance of still hit.
Right. And so
I really wish I had a group of guys around here that like to play D&D. I'd really like to get into it. I think it'd be cool.
it totally depends on the group. And
Oh
so,
yeah, absolutely.
And even though you might be friends with some of the people, you might have different play styles.
Right.
And so
might not get along.
Well, like one of the guys that used to play with us a lot, never cared about being a team player, only ever cared about getting the best loot. Even if it was like he would never use it, he just wanted it. And it wasn't a malicious thing. He didn't want it so that no one else could have it. He just wanted and he would justify it to himself. He was like, I absolutely need that. And he would argue hardcore for it. And it got to the point where he would leave fights early to find where the loot was, while we're fighting the guy whose loot we're stealing.
Wow.
And so, yeah, and so we're just, and we're just like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, no, this is. And there was another guy who, when we would discuss the merits of A or B, or violent or non-violent, he would get fed up with the frustration and always escalate. He'd be like, well, I'm gonna attack him. And we're like, but we just decided we're not going to. And he's like, well, you guys were just talking too long. Now I attack him. And so it's like, he would specifically go play D&D because he wanted to kill things to feel better.
Okay,
it's like,
I mean...
Which is fine.
Yeah,
but
sometimes, I mean, I guess it depends on the kind of campaign you're trying to play, too.
Right, and that's part of the issue, is like, when I was running the last one, there was a kind of like a King's Moot meeting where they're trying to nominate who's going to succeed the king, all political intrigue stuff. There's a obvious bad guy there, there's a less obvious bad guy there, and in the middle of the obvious bad guy...
Are these obvious and less obvious bad guys, are they NPCs or are they your friends?
Yeah, NPCs.
Okay.
And so our guys are there to support one person in particular. And so our heroes are supporting this one guy.
We need a hero!
Yeah, none of them are running for king themselves. They were nominating this guy.
Right, so, they're just there for support. They're like his bastard.
Right. So the leader of a rival kingdom who's engaged war with this kingdom, who's trying to nominate himself and get voted and elect a king, and is splashing a ton of money around to do it.
It's a good way to win an election. That's how they win them here.
Right. He's out there, like, and he's obviously evil, and so in the middle of his speech, my dude just shoots him with a crossbow bolt, or like a spell or something like that. And it was not even ever close enough to kill him. Like, even if everything went perfectly well, it was just like, I'm gonna fight him. And it's like, seriously? Like, you realize, like, if I was feeling, like, fair right now, your character would immediately get, like, executed. Or thrown into jail, or...
Well, wouldn't you have to roll for that, though? To see if he did get executed or not?
So...
like I said, I've never played it, but I know kind of the basics of it.
A lot of it really depends on the person running it.
Who's the DM?
Yeah, and so
that's
like you can
get. But say if you're the DM and that happened, could you be a dick about him? Like, hey, you're executed. Fuck your roll. Or does he still get the chance to roll?
It is so the way it works is the person running it.
It's all to the discretion of the DM.
It's all to the discretion of the DM. If I want to, I could. Well, it doesn't. If you get a guy who doesn't really know what they're doing, and it's all about power, they want to exert power, then that sucks, because he's gonna be like, oh, you didn't do what I expected you to do, therefore I'm gonna punish you. Whereas for me, it was, I'm here to make sure that you guys have a fun story and get to do awesome, cool things that you want to do.
Which is how it should be.
But at the same point in time, let me tell the story, and you, at some point, you might need to sit back and, like,
just follow my rules.
Yeah, let me run the narrative. Like,
right.
This he's not going to win the election. I'm not going to let the ultimate bad guy. I'm going to let the secret bad guy win the election.
Yeah, because that's a lot more fun.
Yeah, so, but in this guy's mind, he's like, he's a bad guy. I'm just gonna kill him. So he like casts a spell on him, and it didn't work. Like the guy was like really powerful, and he's like, did everyone just
fucked up, sir?
Yeah, did everyone just see that guy over there cast a spell on me?
It wasn't. Who didn't cast invisibility on himself or anything?
No, because
he's out in the open.
He's like, I see guy, I want to kill guy, and it's a certain point in time where just like, are you kidding me? And this is the same guy.
Did you really just do that?
Yeah, and so he had a fireball spell that could.
And it missed.
No, it's like he didn't cast fireball.
Oh, okay.
But it's how the spell functions is it's a bead, like a small little like marble size that he could shoot anywhere within like 400 feet, and wherever he designates it to detonate, it's a 20-foot radius, so 40-foot diameter sphere of fire, like flaming fire.
That
and
sounds very intimidating.
Well, it's a low-level spell. You get it at like you get it at like 5th level, and it does really good damage to a lot of people at that level. But it doesn't scale very well. It still does good. It does okay damage to a lot of people if they're in that area. So it's an okay spell, but it's easily avoided. And if you avoid it, you might not take any damage. Blah blah blah. So he would default to that spell all the time. Doesn't matter the scenario. In a corridor, cast that spell. In a grassland, fighting something that you could kick and kill it, cast that spell. And
after a certain point, spider fireball.
Yeah, you're not joking. It would literally after a certain point in time.
Fantastic.
And he would
I can understand that gets really annoying really fast, but just hearing you tell the story, that's so funny.
Well, and he would do it with his buddies like right next to it too. He'd be like, did I get you in that fireball too? Sorry. And they're like, dude. And he's like,
yes, you did. I'm fucking happy.
Sorry, not sorry.
Well, a lot of that too is he's just not paying attention, or he's not learning what his class can actually do. And so,
what class do you like to play, Jack?
Wizards.
Oh,
heck yeah.
So the reason why you play a wizard is because there's an ideology behind it. Because I could be a fighter, right? I could be up there with a sword, and at the highest level, I get to attack like a bunch of times in a few seconds. I can do a lot of damage with my sword, and hey, look how cool I am with my sword.
Yeah.
Or as the wizard, I could be back there and be like, hey, fighter guy, I'm gonna make you faster. I'm gonna make you hit harder.
You up, bro.
I'm gonna make you like more immune to stuff, and I'm gonna stand back here while you fight and you get hit.
Right,
and I'm gonna make
D&D really is a heavy,
and then I'm also gonna do attack spells.
Right. So like like you've got your tanky guys running in there doing their melee damage, like you said. Wizards in the back
we call those big stupid fighters.
Yeah, you got those guys running in there trying to do your melee damage. You got your wizards in the back buffing and debuffing and.
Well, so you have different. You have different tiers of groups. You have your big stupid fighter tiers. That's your barbarians. That's your fighters. That's your monks. That's your paladins. Your guys who can go in there, deal damage, and take damage. Then you've got your glass cannon types. These are the guys who can go in there and deal a ton of damage, but they can't take the damage. So they're cannons that can go in there and just go blasting. But if someone hits them, they're like glass, and so they'll
It's like a piece of paper holding a machine gun.
Yeah, and those are your rogues. Someone who can go in there and do some really high sneak level damage.
Like assassins and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And then you have like your healer support style guys, and then you have your. And those are really good, your healer support. So, like, you could be a cleric and be like a hybrid tank / debuff, buff kind of guy / I'll heal you. You can do your druids, where it's like, I'm going to be a bear for this combat, and I'll go in there and tank. But for this next one, I'm going to be a bird, and I'll fly around and be, like, be sneaky.
Change, right?
Yeah, just stuff like that. Like, your support guys. Like a ranger was like, I'm gonna be in the background, like shooting my bow. You're not gonna hit me. Like,
and aren't there a ton of
my bow?
So isn't there a bunch of different like types of D&D? Like I say, like different areas and stuff. Like
D&D.
I'm trying to think like
campaign settings. You're talking about
that's what I'm looking for.
So yes, and here's the thing: is there are published ones, and then there's stuff you can just make up.
Right. Yeah.
So what I did for the last one, Jason, it was the first one I ever did. I just went to an online map generator.
Yeah.
And I made something that made an Earth-like map that was enough of a large continent that it was. I just wanted one singular not a ton of islands or anything like that. I just wanted one large continent, and I said, "Hey, this looks good. They're gonna start here." And then I looked at what the map said, and it was like, this is a rocky area, dwarves live there, this is a forest area, elves live there. And then I left most of the rest of it, like, unfleshed out.
Yeah.
And then when they would travel to that area, I'd be like, before the session, I'd be like, this makes sense. Like, I'll make this area feudal. Like, kind of feudal humanism and stuff, like, that type of stuff. And so you can just kind of make it up as you go. Now, my brother, on the other hand, he made a world, and he fleshed it out. Everything, religion,
like put a ton of detail into it.
He had like a
Lore.
200-page. Yeah, he had a 200-page book, and it was really cool because when you would go in there, you knew the city name, you knew the history of the people who lived there for the last 200 years, you knew the wars they fought, you knew their allegiances and who they didn't like, you knew all these things, and so, and it was really cool because it was like it's this new world that is fully fleshed out. And that's, for the most part, that's what Wizards of the Coast, who run D&D, that's what they publish. They'll publish stuff that's fully fleshed out. But it doesn't need to be. I could literally just say, you guys wake up in the morning, and you step outside, and you take a deep breath,
and you get real high, and you scream from the top of my lungs.
I want to play D&D only if Jason's there to sing the story to me.
Dude, have you seen that He-Man What's Going On one, haven't you?
Yes.
Jason hadn't, and I had him try watching it, and he's like, this is dumb. He's like, this is
I was like, nope, can't do this.
I was a little upset that day. Anyway, so, but...
He hurt my feelings.
But more to your point, D&D is exactly what you want it to be. And so when my buddy attacks a random NPC who he shouldn't be attacking, I have the ability to say, listen, you just committed a law in a peaceful area, and
now you have a bounty.
You attacked the leader of the nation. I was well within my rights to arrest him, to go through the motions of trial or immediate execution or whatever. I could have done all that stuff.
And make him roll to see if he gets raped or not.
Whoa.
Well, at the same point, but like, this is someone I've been playing D&D with for a long time, and what because we're friends, I said, hey, we're not playing right now. You should not be doing this.
Stop it.
Oh,
like,
so
you should
pause on the game.
Yeah, you should not be doing this. You do not want to attack this guy. I said, if you let it play out, things might allow you to attack him in the future.
Yeah.
But you should. If you do that, you should go to jail, get killed, get executed, and all these things.
Yeah.
Are you sure you want to do that? And he's like, no, I just want to fight something. I was like, I know that.
Put his thine hands up.
Right. I was like, you need exposition sometimes to make the fights worthwhile. So let me do my exposition.
Right,
because
there's a time and place for fighting, there's a time and place for politics, and D&D's like World of Warcraft, it's just tabletop. It's the biggest tabletop MMORPG you'll ever play.
If you wanted to, you could just fight one thing after another, after another, after another. But there's no
your campaign.
There's no commitment.
Like you said, what you're doing,
and this one
where you're at, what's your main goal for the campaign, what are you trying to accomplish? Because I got a buddy, he used to play a lot, like, I mean, he's told me before some of the campaigns they play, they're like trying to go kill, I can't remember the name of it, but like this big evil wizard, he was a necromancer and stuff, like trying to help in on taking over the world, destroying everything, and like, so they, like, towards the end of the campaign, there was a lot of fights, so like in his main castle, and like, fighting person after person, it seems like, and they get a little rest here and there, and like, once they clear out an area, they camp up and rest, and but, you know, next thing you know, you're in another area, and it's like, oh god, there's 4 or 5 more big guys we gotta fight. And it's just like, and then finally you make it to the big boss, and
yeah, there's a time and place. There's absolutely, and there were times in this campaign where I would set them on a path where you guys are gonna have to fight a ton to get to where you need to go.
Right.
There's other times where you can't, and I would subvert expectations sometimes. Like, they were on a ship once, sailing one area, and I had them besieged by pirates. 3 ships of pirates at the same time.
Oh God.
What they didn't know is that each one of these pirates was 1 hit each. 1 hit would kill a pirate total.
Ah.
They had no idea.
But
so,
numbers are intimidating.
Numbers are intimidating, and they don't know. They're just like, holy shit, this is like 150 guys.
Yeah.
And
Oh God. Oh God. Oh God.
And there was another time where I had them do like a Magnificent Seven style defense, like tower defense. Like they were tasked to reinforce and defend this city that has 2 army like brigades coming through, military like 300. I think it was about 300 hobgoblins were going to be coming through this town to take control of this town, and they were hired to defend it. All 6 of them, and so they spent it was actually really cool. They spent the entire session planning. Let's build defense here, and, like, let's train these, like, training montage. Here's how you use your bows, like, blah, 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 like, all, so it wasn't just the 6 of them, it was the 6 of them and all their villagers. And because villagers hit, everyone hits on a 20, 1 in 20 villagers is going to hit on a shot. You know, just the law of averages. And so they just things like that, you want to subvert them. But for this one, they were at this, so here's what's funny.
Leroy Jenkins.
Well, eventually, one of them did that because they did such a good job. They were able to pick off half the guys before they even got to town. And so then the rest of them, the guys who are there who don't have magic, who are just like, I have this big axe, why can't I hit someone? Oh, they're close enough. Then they Leroy Jenkins themselves out there and kill a bunch of people. But like, here's what I did for that election. So what I didn't tell you is they killed the king.
Oh.
So, but they
like
blamed
your party or like one of the bad guys.
Yeah, and to be fair, the king was being a real dickhead. Probably didn't deserve to be murdered. But the king was a pawn in a rival lord's plans, and they pinned the king's death on the rival lord, who they also killed, but made it look like he escaped. And so it was a whole bunch of really cool political machinations. And now they're like, well, the king's dead and there's no heir, so we have to have this like kind of this king's moot election thing.
Right.
And so people from all over the world showed up to be like, I want to be king. Like, Steve showed up, and he's like, hi, I'm Steve, I've got 9 kids, and you won't ever have an heir problem with me, because I've got 9 kids.
I have 8 sons and a daughter.
Yeah, and there was some crazy dementia wizard, that like some 80-year-old wizard with dementia, who was super powerful, and his whole campaign was, like, see all these naked women, and because he could do, like, realistic, like, images, and he would just be surrounded with naked women all the time. He was like, naked women, and
look
so
what I have.
They wanted this lord that they were allied with to be the king, but he didn't want to be king, and so we're like, we're gonna nominate him. But then there was this young guy who had this really powerful like group with him, and they were just like, and he was like really mysterious and like knew a bunch of stuff about him, and like they were just like, oh, but he was like nice to him, and but he was like 20, like a 20-year-old human who was just like, yeah, and they're
young
just like,
and not gonna live very long, because the life expectancy, I'm sure, for the air they were, it was taking in wasn't very long.
Yeah, it's whatever, but they're just like
magic and stuff, yeah.
Yeah, there's magic, and life expectancy for a human is 100 years. So, but they're just like, he's so like knowledgeable and like this air of like mystique around him, and then you've got the evil bad guy from the evil empire who's trying to be king, and he's getting votes, and then you have this other dickhead who's getting some votes, and you're just like, who do we vote for if we can't do this? Who do we nominate? Like, and so and then my guy attacks that one guy, and I was like, seriously, stop. And because what happened is a dragon shows up. Like a stupid dragon shows up, and everyone's like, "Oh God!" Like same thing. They're like, "Oh God, we need to defend. We need to defend against this dragon and his like bat riding goblins or whatever."
Oh wow!
And so the party starts fighting because, of course, I'm a good DM. It's not just going to be exposition for an entire session.
Right.
There's going to be a fight. And so they defend against
battle.
Right, so they defend everyone against this dragon, but that young guy who is really mysterious starts casting some seriously high level shit. Like some really powerful spells, like helping them. And they're like, oh shit. And they're like, wait, we think we have this dragon handled. Let's kill that bad guy we said we wanted to kill earlier, and they did. And so they were still able to like accidentally kill the leader of the bad guys and his whole group.
There's a dragon there to make it look like an accident.
Exactly. So I'm not stupid. Just let me do my thing, and you'll have your fun. Here's what's funny. That guy, that really young, mysterious guy, was like 1,000 years old. Always had a clone body ready to go in case he was dying.
And so
so he would just keep reincarnating himself in his clone body and would remain young for his entire life. That's how he knew everything, because he's literally been alive for like 1,000 years. Also super evil. Also, and I think toward the end of the campaign they were trying to start to get hints that he might not be exactly.
Well, dude, I'll let you know this right now. When you started telling me that dude knew so much about everything, I was like, I want to tell you that seems kind of sketchy. Like something
that's the thing.
About this fella.
But he was really nice to them, and their whole thing is, if you're evil and you're a dick, yeah, we have to kill you because you're evil. But they were like, we don't think he's evil. Like he's probably evil, and that's one of the things of playing D&D. Is you have to be willing. You have to be willing to separate your knowledge. You have to be willing to say, I know for a fact that this guy is evil, but my character doesn't know it. So I have to play it as if my character doesn't know he's evil.
Right.
And so you have to be willing to make that separation.
Everyone's evil, Jack.
Right.
Everyone.
To a certain extent.
They all
Well, and so here, the funny thing was that all the guy wanted, he wanted the resources that the kingdom had to further his goals in being a god. Because he wanted to become a god. And so...
It's the always having a clone body ready and all
right,
that
right.
stuff.
And so he wanted these guys, he just wanted immortality is what he wanted to do. So he, because of this fight...
Why is that like every evil guy's like main thing?
It's easy.
Shit.
It's easy.
Yeah.
I mean, if you spend your entire life gaining power, the last thing you want to do is die and lose it all.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so it's easy and it's convenient. And I'm not a creative storyteller. So.
Oh no, that's cool. I wasn't talking about your story at all.
Oh, I know.
Like even like animes and like just different shows. Like once you get to a certain point of having all this power, you don't want to die anymore.
Right, exactly. It's the same thing with Donald Trump. He has all the power now. Why would he give it up? He doesn't want to give it up. So anyway, they eventually, like, they nominated this guy. They voted for this guy. Because they're like, he's badass. He just helped us fight this dragon with some really powerful stuff. He seems really cool. And that guy became the king. And that guy was like, hey, you guys really helped me out back there. How about, like, I'll pay you. Like, you want a reward? Like, I need you to do this one thing for me. Like, here's this boon. And they had a really good mutual beneficial relationship, even though they started figuring out that he's evil. Like, legit. He does not care about the kingdom. He cares about himself, and that they are being used, but they were getting what they wanted. And so they were like, we'll continue getting what we want until this becomes like a not mutually beneficial arrangement.
Right.
And then the campaign ended because one of the players was being a dickhead. So they never actually got to see the culmination of it. But that's the kind of stuff. That's the kind of stuff you can do in D&D. Is you just.
Yeah.
And so here's the funny thing: they got this castle randomly through like
But
some.
your players did.
Yeah, through some magical fluke, they got this castle. And one of them specifically got it and got to be the lord of the castle and blah blah blah. And one day I had an armed attaché show up. Like a really regal-looking ship show up with a bunch of soldiers and armor and a really like regal-looking guy who shows up and says,
legit.
Hi. Yeah, this is my land.
I'm gonna need you to get the fuck out.
This is mine now.
Or swear. No, he's like, this has always been my land. I don't know how you came to this or where you came from, but this is my land and my territory. You either give it to me now, or swear fealty to me and become my vassal. Pay me taxes, respond to my call to arms, whatever. I'm totally expecting them to like be the puff out the chest and be like, no, this is our castle, we'll fight you. And they're like, we'll totally be your vassal. We'll totally be your vassal. I was like, you sons of bitches.
You bunch of pussies. I straight up would have been like, nah, bro, I was here. You weren't. We fighting for it. Let's go, brother.
Find us, keep us.
Well, no, but that's part of the thing as the DM is you just want to set them up in situations. You don't want to railroad them into doing exactly what you want to do. Sometimes you do, but you want to give them the opportunity to choose, and
Sorry,
then their choices determine what happens.
Jester would have straight up went, magic dagger attack!
Right, which is perfectly
Rain
fine.
lightning.
Which is perfectly fine, but what ended up happening is because the guy didn't expect that either. He's like, well, shit, let's seal this with a marriage then. My daughter is having her 5th coming of age party, like,
God
or
damn!
her fifth debutante ball, because she was a mess. I made her like Fran Drescher, just heavily narcoleptic. Yeah, super annoying, super narcoleptic. So she was having her 5th debutante, and so she married one of the guys and all this. But that's what they chose to do. That's what they wanted to do. And so
That's what D&D's all about.
Absolutely. So you get DMs who are like, this is what I want. This is the story I'm telling you to do. What do you want to do? And you can do it. And I facilitate it.
My stories are outlines. And
Right,
of course,
exactly.
as you know, the way I work, it's like we're going on the fly. And whatever pops into my head at certain situation, like say, oh, you've walked into the tavern, having a drink. Oh no, like you say, an attaché comes up, searching for a bounty.
Right. And that's the thing. Whereas I've had DMs who are, they have a plan in mind, and nothing will deviate from that plan. And that's, like, depending on how good they are, that can be a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, like say
it's no
somebody
longer,
with a 200-page story,
Right.
that's going to be a good campaign.
Yeah, you're along for the ride.
Also, if a guy comes in with just a piece of paper and some stuff on it, with some outlines and some, like, you know, I'm okay with that too.
And that's typically how I would do. I would usually, if I had anything scripted, it was a speech, or something, or describing a city or a scenario or something like that. And then it would be like, what do you guys do? What do you want? And then I would just make shit up and try to keep it in the confines of the world I've created, so that I don't like retroactively like do something I shouldn't have done. But we'd been playing with each other long enough to where if I did screw up, or if they were putting me on the spot with something I didn't plan for, I'd be like, I'm going to be honest with you guys. I had no idea you were going to choose this. Give me 5 minutes. Let me figure something out.
That option.
Yeah, let me figure something out.
Everybody go get a round of beers. We're going to sit here and talk about this.
Yeah, and I mean, because we've been playing with each other, and that's why when I say the group matters, is because you really need to have a very similar playstyle, similar sense of humors, and the ability to have those frank, hey guys, you threw me a curveball, I'm not ready for it, give me 5 seconds. And they also knew that I was really bad at coming up with names on the spot.
Yeah.
And so, because they're assholes, and I'd introduce them to someone, they'd be like, what's his name? What's his wife's name? What's his what's that guy's name?
You better be writing this shit down if you're making me make this up right now.
And they would,
because these characters are gonna come back to haunt you. You goddamn it.
And I'm not writing their names down. Right, and so I mean, and there would be times too where we'd have recurring characters who'd come about from stuff like that.
Yeah, well, that's the thing. If you're gonna ask me questions like that, don't think this character's not gonna come up later and bite your ass. If you're gonna be a dick, I can be a dick later, cause you know, so and so's son that you happen to run into, and he felt like you wronged his father, has come now to avenge.
My favorite thing that I did, you know, when you're a low-level adventurer, you go around seeking adventures. So you like petition kings,
right?
Yeah,
you go talk to everybody.
You go talk to everyone. You go to the bulletin board posting, and be like, "What adventures do we have available for here right now?" And so after my guys got the castle in this really remote region, and they're like set up shop, and they're like, "Sweet, this is nice," and they're like taking petitions from the audience. A group of adventurers show up, and they're like, "We seek missions to assist you," and they're like, "Dickheads, we're the adventurers. We take the missions." And they're like, "But we're adventurers too, and you're the..." And so they basically recruited a small level adventuring group to like do little bitch work that they didn't want to deal with. And so now I had to create bitch work to send those guys on, and
God damn it.
But I mean, they each had like one little quirk, like this guy's lactose intolerant but loves cheese. You know, stuff like that.
Cheese adds 3 to his vitality.
Right. And so you just have to have fun with it.
but also takes away from his something else because he's got to poo every 5 minutes.
Yeah, right.
Have you guys seen the remake of Jumanji
No,
with Kevin Hart and The Rock and all that?
I saw the second
purposely
one.
not. Karen Gillan,
Okay, so in the
Gillian,
the
who
first
is
one,
one of my favorite
She's nice
people in the world.
She has nice legs.
Long legs, long legs.
so in the first one, you know, obviously it takes place in a video game, not a board game. And one of Kevin Hart's character's weakness is cake, and he's like, "How the fuck's my weakness? Cake?" This and that, talking about it. And you get like 3 lives or so, and he's like, "Fuck, there's a piece of cake. I'm gonna try it." And tries the piece of cake, and he explodes from eating cake. That is why it's his weakness. So I just think that's hilarious. I don't know, the cheese thing made me think about that.
Well, I mean, that's the thing with D&D is you can be as creative as you want. My
Absolutely.
current
It's
character,
really open.
It's
my
not
current
the real
character,
world. You can make it do whatever you want.
my current guy, his race is humanoid turtle, like a Ninja Turtle dude.
Please tell me his name's one of the Ninja Turtle names.
His name is actually the 4th most popular Renaissance Italian painter, Botticelli.
Botticelli.
Yeah, Donatello was a sculptor, or Raphael was a sculptor, or something like that. So I just chose the 4th most famous Italian Renaissance painter. Sandro Botticelli is the name of my turtle. And so, but he's a druid who focuses on like funguses and spores and poisons.
Oh, okay.
And so he's not like a shape-changing druid or anything like that. He's more just like a
Alchemist.
yeah. And he's got a bunch of mushrooms and shit on his back, on his shell. And whenever he finds like a new species of mushroom, he just like transplants it. So he always has his like little alchemy lab on his back.
That's cool.
That's my